Have you ever noticed how in some instances, the body seems to start saying goodbye even before the mind understands what's happening? Many families notice subtle changes in their parents, grandparents, or older loved ones, but they don't quite know what these signs mean. Dolores Cannon, who spent decades studying soul transitions and the moments leading up to departure, clearly described how the body and spirit begin to prepare. According to her, there are specific signs that indicate an elderly soul may be approaching its final cycle here. These aren't exact predictions or sentences, but recurring patterns observed by those who understand the nature of the soul. Knowing how to identify these signs can not only prevent surprises, but also help us honor each remaining moment with more awareness. And most importantly, it allows us to be more present and attentive when every gesture and word can become unforgettable. So if this topic touches your heart, stay with me until the end. Here you'll understand what Dolores discovered and how it can make sense in your life. This video was made with great respect, especially for those who are experiencing this phase alongside someone they love. And if you feel that these reflections can help others, please subscribe and leave a like. Each action you take helps to carry this message further. Now, let's go straight to the first sign that Dolores identified. She said that many people begin to lose interest in activities that once brought them pleasure. It's not ordinary sadness, but a kind of gradual detachment. Food no longer has the same flavor. Favorite songs don't evoke emotion. Cherished places are no longer visited. It's as if something inside is slowly beginning to withdraw, preparing the ground for a new phase. The second sign is a change in sleep-wake patterns. Dolores observed that very elderly people, when they are close to transitioning, tend to sleep more during the day and stay awake at unusual hours. It's not just physical tiredness. There's a type of energetic movement that she described as visits between dimensions. During these times, even with their eyes closed, consciousness may be accessing old memories, reviewing scenes from the past, or even glimpsing what is to come. Those who care for these people notice that their dreams become more vivid, and that they talk to deceased relatives as if they were there. These are moments that defy logic, but that makes sense within the perspective of a soul that is already beginning to cross the first veils of forgetting. The third sign involves a curious emotional phenomenon, spontaneous reconciliation with the past. Many people who have been estranged from family members for years suddenly want to reconnect. Dolores said this is no coincidence. The soul feels it needs to resolve unfinished business before leaving. It's as if there's an internal drive to clear the path, undo resentments, clarify misunderstandings. During these times, even those who have never been very sentimental become more open, gentler, almost as if they are saying goodbye without explicitly stating it. For those who live with this person, it's important not to judge, not to force explanations, but simply to allow this process to happen with dignity. Forgiveness, when it arises in this way, from silence and maturity, is one of the greatest gifts someone can leave behind. The fourth sign observed by Dolores is the feeling of déjà vu, or that something is about to happen, even without apparent reason. Older people may start repeating phrases like, "I think my time is coming," or "I've lived what I had to live," and this shouldn't be seen as pessimism. In fact, it's an intuitive wisdom. The soul, according to Dolores, carries records far beyond our conscious understanding. When it senses that it's close to freeing itself from the body, it sends these signals through premonitions and symbolic phrases. It's essential to listen attentively. Often, what seems like just melancholy may actually be an invitation to deeper listening, a request for companionship in the final steps. The fifth sign is the gaze. Dolores described in rich detail how the eyes of a person near departure change in expression. It's not something easily explained, but those who have witnessed it know. The gaze becomes more serene, sometimes more distant, as if observing things that others don't see. There's a kind of subtle luminosity, a peace that begins to settle even in fragile bodies. In these moments, it's common for the person to stare fixedly at points in the emptiness or to say that they are seeing deceased loved ones. Far from being delirium, Dolores believed that these contacts are real and are part of the soul's welcoming process by those who are already on the other side. a silent but profound sign that the journey is changing direction. The sixth sign is perhaps one of the most subtle, but also one of the most impactful, a kind of unusual lightness in behavior. Dolores observed that in the final months, many elderly people began to demonstrate an unexpected peace. Some who have always been restless become calm. Others who lived tense or controlling lives begin to laugh easily or show gratitude for small things. It's not a forced change, but something that springs up naturally. It's as if the soul, realizing that the burden of life is almost being handed over, loosens its bonds. Gestures become slower, the gaze sweeter, the pace more tranquil. In these moments, it's possible to perceive a kind of silent wisdom in the air. Not everyone demonstrates this, but when it happens, it usually deeply moves those around. Another recurring aspect described by Dolores is the presence of animals in an unusual way. She recounted numerous cases in which cats, dogs, or even birds seemed to sense that something was about to happen. A dog that never lay near that person starts not leaving their side. A cat that avoids everyone's lap decides to sleep with the elderly person night after night. Dolores said that animals have very keen energetic sensitivity and often perceive the approach of transition even before family members do. In some ancient cultures, this is treated with respect and reverence. It's not superstition, but a kind of attunement that we still don't know how to explain exactly. Observing these behaviors can bring additional signs that the moment is approaching, offering valuable clues for those who are caring for them. In addition to behavioral and spiritual signs, Dolores drew attention to changes in the body that are often ignored. The temperature of the extremities begins to fluctuate frequently. The hands and feet become colder, even in warm environments. The skin takes on a different tone, slightly grayish at certain times of the day. These are physical changes that indicate that vital energy is concentrating in the central organs. She explained that the body is extremely wise and begins to redistribute its strength when it feels that the cycle is closing. These details, despite seeming small, are part of a set of signs that, when added together, help to understand that the organism is preparing to shut down little by little, like a flame that doesn't go out suddenly but gradually diminishes smoothly. There's also a very special phenomenon reported by Dolores, the presence of a kind of clarity in the person's room in the days leading up to departure. Some families report that they feel the environment is lighter, as if there were an invisible presence there. Others say that the person begins to talk about lights, about bright corridors, or very beautiful landscapes that appear while they sleep. This is especially common in very spiritual people or those who have had near-death experiences. Dolores believed that in these moments, the soul is being prepared for the crossing. The light is not something external, but an inner perception that manifests subtly. Science may not explain it, but for those who witness it, there is often no doubt that something greater is being revealed there, calmly and beautifully. As all these signs accumulate, what Dolores most emphasized was the importance of silence and true presence. She said that in the last months or weeks, the most important thing is no longer what is said, but what is felt. Being beside someone at this moment is an act of profound love, and it's not about grand speeches or exaggerated gestures. Just hold their hand, listen without interrupting, respect the silences. Often, the elderly person already knows what's coming, even if they don't say it. And when they realize they are not alone, that someone is there in body and soul, something within them calms down. Dolores saw in this one of the greatest forms of healing that exists, not for the body, which has already fulfilled its part, but for the soul which wishes to leave in peace, knowing that it was seen, heard, and loved until the end. And here perhaps lies the greatest lesson left by Dolores. We should not fear these signs, but learn from them. Death, according to her, is not the end, but a stage of continuity of consciousness. When we understand the signs with respect and without despair, we are able to live this moment with more wisdom. Not all signs appear in the same way in all people, and no one can or should predict dates or define certainties, but understanding the signs helps to transform a period of pain into a time of deeper love. Farewell, when done with truth, can become a bridge between worlds, a memory that warms even after departure. And this is one of the greatest legacies someone can leave behind, the certainty that they lived with meaning and departed with peace. Another interesting aspect observed by Dolores concerns memory. Often in the final months, elderly people vividly recall past events, even from childhood, while forgetting recent facts. This memory reversal isn't just a clinical sign, but, according to her, represents the soul's movement back to its roots. Remembering childhood, youth, and significant moments is a way of integrating the journey. It's as if the spirit is reviewing its own history, closing internal cycles. Those around can help by encouraging these memories, listening attentively, and validating these experiences. This not only comforts the elderly person, but also offers a rare opportunity for the family to learn details of their life that may never have been shared before. It's a gift that can be received with respect and gratitude. Dolores also observed that many elderly people, in their final days, feel a strong desire to detach from material objects. It's common for them to start donating clothes, giving away belongings, or indicating who should keep certain items. Even those who are most attached suddenly show detachment. This happens, according to her, because the soul understands that it will take nothing and wants to leave everything in order. It's a gesture of spiritual organization. For family members, it may be difficult to accept, but it's important to understand that this impulse doesn't mean giving up, but preparing. By respecting this wish, we demonstrate that we recognize the autonomy and wisdom of the one who is leaving. Each item handed over, each decision made about what stays and what goes, is a symbol of passage, a silent way of saying goodbye, ensuring that everything remains at peace. Another frequent sign is a change in appetite, not just the loss of hunger, but the rejection of foods previously loved. Dolores explained that as the soul detaches, the body loses interest in what binds it to matter. The act of eating ceases to make sense. Many begin to desire only liquids or very light foods. Insisting that they eat can cause more discomfort than help. The ideal, according to her, is to offer what the person accepts and, above all, respect their limits. Eating is one of the strongest links to earthly life, and when this link begins to dissolve, it's a sign that the body is obeying a deeper calling. Observing this behavior with sensitivity is a way of caring without imposing, of accompanying without pressuring, of loving even in the face of inevitable renunciation. In Dolores's accounts, there's also a recurring spiritual element, the inner preparation for departure. Even without talking directly about death, many people begin to mentally organize their beliefs, hopes, and doubts. Some want to talk about what they believe will happen afterward. Others express the desire to meet deceased relatives or say they have dreamed of them. This type of account shouldn't be ignored. On the contrary, it can be an opportunity to strengthen bonds and offer emotional and spiritual comfort. Dolores insisted that, in these moments, we shouldn't try to convince or correct beliefs. Each person leaves with what they believe, and it's up to us to offer listening and presence. This openness is a gesture of profound love, which can bring peace both to those who are leaving and to those who will stay. There are also those moments of absolute silence. Dolores described how some people, in the final days or hours, enter a state of quietude so profound that it seems like an inner dive. They speak little or nothing, stare fixedly at a point, and remain motionless for long periods. To those who watch, it may seem that they are no longer there, but, according to her, it's precisely in these moments that the soul is most active, preparing for the final detachment. These moments shouldn't be interrupted with questions or stimuli. They should be respected as sacred. Silence can be more powerful than any word, and often a simple touch on the hand, a caress on the face, or a silent prayer is enough to say, "I'm with you." And this presence, even without words, is an immense comfort. Dolores talked about the last gift a person can leave, the transformation of those who remain. The farewell of a loved one is always a milestone. It changes us forever. It teaches us to value time, presence, and simplicity. Loss, as painful as it may be, also reveals what is essential. Many people discover strengths they didn't even know they had. They learn to care, to listen, to love more deeply. And even after departure, they feel the presence of that soul in small gestures of daily life. Dolores believed that no one truly dies. They just change places, and that those who leave take with them true feelings, sincere hugs, the words that remained in the gaze, and leave, in place of their absence, a seed of wisdom for those who know how to welcome it. Throughout her decades of work, Dolores Cannon realized that the end of life doesn't have to be seen as a tragedy, but as a stage of transition. When the signs are understood, fear gives way to acceptance. This doesn't mean the absence of pain, but the presence of meaning. Being beside someone in their last year of life is one of the most human and transformative experiences one can have. It requires patience, listening, sensitivity, and above all, surrender. For many, it's during this time that relationships gain depth, conversations become more genuine, hugs become longer, gazes become more meaningful. Time, which once seemed to rush by, slows down, and each day is seen as an opportunity to do differently, to love better, to be more present. It's in this context that the true value of life is revealed, far from the rush, close to the essence. Many family members, upon noticing these signs, wonder what they can do. Dolores was clear in saying that above all, it's necessary to respect the elderly person's rhythm. Caring isn't about doing more, but about being more. Avoid unnecessary corrections, allow the person to tell the same stories, listen without haste. All this creates a field of welcoming that is much more powerful than medicine or rigid routines. When listening is loving, even repeated words gain meaning. When the touch is gentle, even a fragile body feels safe. When there is true presence, fear dissolves. And it's in this environment that the soul prepares more calmly. Dolores taught us that simple love, the one that doesn't judge, that doesn't demand, that simply makes itself present, is the greatest healing force in moments of transition. It's also common for family members during this last period to feel guilt for past decisions, for absences, or unsaid words. Dolores always emphasized that this is not the time to carry old burdens, but to seek reconciliation. It won't always be possible to resolve everything with those who are leaving, but it is possible to make peace within oneself. The presence at the bedside, the gesture of caring, the words spoken sincerely, all this has a symbolic weight much greater than any perfect speech. The soul that leaves feels the sincere vibration of love, even when the lips fall silent. And the soul that remains can transform pain into learning. The essential thing is to understand that this cycle is natural, that everyone has their time, and that in the end, what matters most is not how the person died, but how they were loved while they lived. The time alongside someone who is leaving invites reflection. Dolores said that we should all live as if we were in our last year, not to fuel fears, but to reclaim priorities. How often do we put off what really matters? How often do we override true feelings out of haste or pride? The proximity of death brings us clarity. It shows us that time is valuable and that human connections are our most precious asset. And when this awareness comes before departure, it transforms the way we live. For those who are caring for someone at this moment, this can be a unique chance to grow, mature, and honor the life of the other with presence, patience, and gratitude. It's a silent but profound calling that transforms us from the inside out. Dolores Cannon affirmed that, by understanding the signs, we stop resisting death and begin to respect it as part of existence. The body says goodbye with delicacy, and the soul follows its path with lightness. We won't always have all the answers, and that's okay. You don't have to understand everything to offer love. Sometimes, we just need to be there. The silence between one breath and another, the warmth of one hand holding another, the soft sound of an old song, all this can be the bridge between worlds. Knowing how to recognize the signs is a way of saying, I see you, I hear you, I honor you. And when this message is conveyed with truth, it echoes far beyond what the eyes can see. Because true love doesn't end with death. It just changes shape and continues living within those who remain. If you've made it this far, it's because this topic has touched you in some way. Perhaps because of someone who has already left, perhaps because of someone who is still here, or perhaps because of yourself. And this sensitivity is a sign that your soul is awake to what really matters. So if you felt that this video brought some peace or understanding, share it with those who need to hear this message. And if you're not already subscribed, consider joining this community. Here we seek to welcome, inform, and walk together with respect and humanity. Dolores Cannon's teachings remain alive because they speak directly to the heart. And may this video have been for you a space of pause, reflection, and affection. May life continue with more meaning. And when the time comes for farewell, may it be done with truth, love, and peace.